problem. Rabbi Klein did not describe to you the small building in Ghana that was dedicated when we were there that says it is the Ruth Messenger Computer Lab. Good evening, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, rabbis. Thank you, Cantor. Thank you, extraordinary singers, for this great Shabbat. It's my honor to be at CBST and to be your speaker for Pride Month Friends and Family Shabbat. I want to thank the rabbi for inviting me. I want to thank my friend Eric Rosenbaum for not only being sure that I was going to come, but then meeting with me this morning so that we could discuss all matters of Judaism, values, and whatever to prepare me for being able to talk with you. I'm proud to be an ally of the LGBTIQ plus community, the people and issues in my own family and globally. I'm going to do a few words on that first, and then some words on being allies more broadly, on taking risks to speak up for others who are in need of our support. So the global word first. One of the three areas of American Jewish World Service funding is sexual health and rights. And a big part of that is supporting LGBTIQ groups all over the world. We know that across the globe, those people face inequity and alarming rates of violence. The statistics are staggering. 2/3 of LGBTQI people have endured violent attacks. And in nearly 70 countries, simply being gay is a criminal offense, sometimes even punishable by death. That is why we at American Jewish World Service, and I am proud to continue to associate myself with that extraordinary organization, which is now run by Robert Bank, that is why we at AJWS are one of the largest United States funders of global LGBTQI rights and are currently funding 51 grassroots groups in 14 countries. Groups that, for example, fight criminalization of homosexual rights in India, work to legalize same-sex marriage in Thailand, and most recently are opening an LGBTQI plus service center in the Dominican Republic. You can learn more about that work on our website. What I want to talk about tonight is all of what it means to be an ally, to be a supporter of our gay, bi, trans children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and I have one in every category, and to be an ally for others in our complicated city and country who need our support. And I want to suggest that we are celebrating, of course, what we do in our families and how we support individuals who have come out, who may be in need of our special care and attention, precisely because they are in situations that may pose some danger or threat to them. But it is also how we are as allies on these sometimes difficult and demanding issues in the larger communities where we function. It is about getting out of what may have become for some of us an overly comfortable bubble, about whether we speak out about the diversity of identities in our families and in our neighborhoods and in our places of work. It is about, to be direct, what any of us says out loud in a situation where someone reads today's newspaper and wonders aloud why trans rights and access to surgery are so important that the Supreme Court decision on a Tennessee case, sadly affirming the state ban, and the responses of liberals to that decision are front page news. When someone says, why is that on the front page? We all need the courage to speak up in those situations where not everybody understands. We need to learn how to talk with and learn from each other what works, to teach the people in our broader communities, to help broaden their minds so that they understand our issues. And much more broadly, I think the issues for us today are what it means to be allies, what it means to stand up for any of those whose rights are being attacked, because they are gay or trans, or because they are immigrants being kidnapped off the streets of our city, no exaggeration, or because they are people, whether we know them or not, who are being denied the fundamental rights enshrined in our Constitution, because, and hear me clearly now, that Constitution and those rights are under attack. So let me take the prerogative of the Bima and switch from the gay rights universe, familiar at some degree to all of you here, to the immigration universe. And I can quote from the Prayer for Our Country, from the end of Ayala's prayer, where it says very clearly, to welcome the stranger and the immigrant, and to honor the gifts of those who seek refuge and possibility here, as they have since before this nation was born. So a question or two. Noemi, can you just tell me what you know about what country your ancestors came from, when, and why?
Many.
Just one example.
Our ancestors, mine came from France.
From France. When?
62.
Ah, so relatively recent. And Rick? I'm just calling on people I know. It's not like they weren't told, and it's not like they have special answers. I just remember their names.
My family was born in Germany and got to America in 1939 and 1940.
Okay. Wow. So, the first thing I want to say is that I want every single one of you to actually know that story, and to be able to share that story, and to think about yourselves. This is not true for everyone, and it's not exactly true for the two people I called on, but I suspect it is true for most of you, to think about ourselves as second-generation Americans. Okay? That's not very long. That means if it is your grandparents who came here from some country for some reason, they are immigrants, your parents are first generation, and you are second generation. So you can each do the math for yourselves, but the bottom line is we are all immigrants. With the exception of Native Americans and those whose ancestors were brought here in chains, we are all immigrants. And our ancestors came here for the same mix of reasons as the Venezuelans who walked across 6 countries to the Texas-Mexico border in the last 2 years and were bused to New York, or as the West Africans who raised money to fly to Mexico because of violence, hate, and oppression in their countries, because of a belief that the United States, and more specifically New York, offers them a better opportunity. I want to think for a minute about those immigrants in terms of the Parsha. I don't want to think about us needing to send spies out to see what's going on, because we could just read the newspaper, open the door, turn on the television, you know what's going on. But if you're one of the people that I just talked about, and you're new to New York, and you have to go to a court date in 26 Federal Plaza or 290 Broadway, what do you think the world looks like to you? What do you think you are prepared to be frightened about? And in actuality, terrified because ICE officers in masks are jumping on people and grabbing them. I want to be sure you understand that particular issue. People are being called to court to be told that their asylum applications need updating. And the courts are being told specifically to waive certain protections, telling people, oh, your situation is better now, which is not true, but because a certain protection is removed, then when you walk literally the next 2 steps out the door, you can be detained. And it's those immigrants who, without actually sending out spies, are seeing the world as a terrifying place. And what can help them and what will help them is seeing us not in masks, not puny grasshoppers, seeing us organized, strong, and ready to accompany them. And if you want to know more about that, you can join the efforts of people who are accompanying people in those buildings, and I can tell you exactly when and where you can get trained on Tuesday mornings to do that. We need to be allies for those individuals because our Jewish values demand it, because our family histories remind us that we were the other, because we know from our lives and the lives of our parents and grandparents what a difference courageous allies can make. I bring to your attention, in case you don't know it, not the existence of HIAS, which probably brought many of your families here, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, but the extraordinary mantra, I guess it's a logo for HIAS, which is simply, we used to help people because they were Jews, and now we help people because we are Jews. And I want to add, which Eric and I were talking about this morning, that the future of this city and this country actually depend on our welcoming new immigrants, people who are ready to take jobs in key areas that need new labor. I would cite in this city particularly construction, food service, hospitals, and home health care. These new New Yorkers, who I promise you, I know from working with them, even with my terrible Spanish, these new New Yorkers desperately want jobs. And if we can get them the work authorizations and the training programs they need, they will pay our Social Security. Really. So celebrate Pride in every possible way. Salute our multidimensional families. But as the rabbi kindly said, thank you, Rabbi, early on, be not only proud but loud. Take risks. Be courageous. Just as I urge us to speak up when trans rights are belittled by someone in our place of work who doesn't know better, so I urge us to speak out when elected officials and candidates promise to take a tough line against immigrants, when they refuse to protect people who are being deported out of New York City as we speak. So, further inspired by my breakfast with Eric, let me call out some risk takers in our history. Let me raise up Nachshon, who stepped into the Red Sea and only then did it part to let the Israelites pass. And let me raise up my hero, Esther, who a little less brashly than Nachshon weighed the risks, which was a good thing to do, said that if she went before the king without being summoned, she might be put to death, but was then reminded by Mordecai that perhaps she was on the earth and in this situation precisely for such a time as this. And now we have, if you didn't read the paper carefully enough today, if you didn't get beyond the trans stories on the front page, we have a brand new hero. I urge you to see today's New York Times obituary on a woman named Martha Cohn, a woman who risked death every day as a French nurse spying on German troops. Martha died yesterday, at 105. But when she was 99, and someone was making a documentary on her life, she was asked for the most important lesson, and she said, according to the Times, be engaged and don't accept any order that your conscience could not approve. That'll do for me. So I want you to think about when and how you should be taking more risks, stepping forward, and being heard on behalf of equity and justice. I want us each to think about what it might mean for us to invest thoughtfully in exercising moral courage because the times demand it. And don't do it alone. Talk with others, build community, work together for greater justice. Choose, if I can sneak this in, mayoral candidates who are themselves risk takers in the areas you care about. My wish for all of us, assembled here and elsewhere, is that as we celebrate this Shabbat and as we celebrate every Shabbat, we invoke blessings not only on our own families, but on our communities. And today, not only on our communities, but on our country, which is in grave danger. That we push ourselves to stand for others, to both be and teach about human and civil rights for all, and that we each do more to take risks, to hone our capacity for moral courage at a time when our voices are needed every place outside our own spheres of comfort. Find your inner Nachshon and your inner Esther and your inner Marta Cohn. And keep in mind teaching from two of my non-Torah heroes, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who said, "In a free country where terrible wrongs exist, some are guilty, but all are responsible." And my life hero, Congressman John Lewis, go out, here's my bracelet, go out and make trouble. Make good, necessary trouble. Shabbat Shalom.